Good evening. My name is Marilyn Clifton. The spelling of my name is Marilyn Clifton. Today I'm here to speak about autism spectrum disorder.
So tell me a little about George's background.
George. George is the young man that came into our home in year 2011. He was born at Northwestern Hospital. I was a foster parent of George who just met him as he was being born. I used to go up to the hospital and sit with him and nourish him because he was a child in the Chicago foster system. As George progressed his health as being in part of the hospital, we we detected that George was doing some unnormal traits that children usually do at his age wasn't doing. George was delayed, so we kind of figured that something was going on with him. So we had took George to do random testing to see what disorder that he had, and it came to be autism.
Who are George's biological parents?
George's biological family is not a part of his life. The history that I have on them is that he did have other siblings, two other siblings, and his mother and father are currently living, but they no longer in his life.
Do you remember when you adopted George?
Yes, I remember when I adopted George. George was just adopted last year of August to 2017 to me and my family.
When and how did you find out that George has autism spectrum disorder?
We found out very early on about George's autism spectrum disorder. I think George was at the age of 1 when we found out and had him tested for autism spectrum disorder.
How does it make you feel knowing that George has an autism spectrum disorder?
I feel some sadness, some happiness because I know now that what he has, and I didn't know beforehand, and now that I learned how to deal with autism and living with autism in a special way.
Is it is it is it very challenging living with someone who has autism spectrum disorder?
At first, not knowing what he had, it was challenging. But knowing and getting the resources that you need to learn about autism, it's not that challenging.
I know there are different levels of autism, so I want to ask you what type of autism you are dealing with when it comes to George.
When I'm dealing with George, you can learn in different ways. George is an autism spectrum disorder. It's a more of a sensory autism, sounds, different behavior, new people. It's different how children react with autism. So George can surprise me at any time. George does not speak. He's mute. So to get George to let me know things, it's more about picture pecs, pointing, or just knowing his daily routine.
Did you notice any signs of autism when you first took in George? And if so, how did you find out?
I knew that it was something going on with George, but I didn't know about autism until I just learned it by dealing with him. It was because he was delayed and wasn't doing things as other children his age was doing.
Is it more of a responsibility to raise a child with autism spectrum disorder?
I believe the responsibility is just like a normal child. Just need more patience, concern, and help. And patience is the best virtue with dealing with autism.
How is George's communication and social skills? And do you think George's autism would affect him from things later on in his life?
Of course, I think it'll affect him later on in life, but the resources that we have and the care that he's been given, he's learning to deal with life every day, daily, one day at a time, as all of us do. Just because we are diagnosed with some type of disorder doesn't mean we can't live and cope.
Does George have a special team of specialists dealing with autism involved in your care?
George has a bunch of specialists. He has his family, myself, my mom, my son, my daughter. We're his team to keep him happy and motivated. George also has specialists in school. He has a therapist, a physical therapist, a doctor, as well as a speech doctor.
Do you understand autism spectrum disorder?
I'm understanding every day is a challenge. Every day I learn a different aspect of autism spectrum disorder. Yes.
Is this the first time in your life experiencing someone close with autism disorder?
Yes, this is my first experience with dealing with autism spectrum disorder. George is not my birth child, but I took him in as my own and I'm willing to deal with that. It's a big role to adopt a child with a disorder because he's still a normal child to me. Whatever diagnosis that he has, he's a good child.
How has autism disorder affect your life?
It affected me in good points of views, learning how to be patient, learning how to see the different aspects of life, learning that little things doesn't matter when a child is trying to struggle to learn and to cope and be in our society.
Are you the only person who take care of George?
No. There's a group that take care of George. From myself, my mother, my son, my daughter, we all participate in George's life. From taking him off the bus for school, putting him on the bus for school, from fixing him lunch and dinner, from putting him to bed at night, and just playing with him. All of us support him in many ways.
What is George's daily routine?
George is a very special person. He has the routine of a typical grown man, but really a 6-year-old child. His routine is to get up every morning, have his raisin toast and his milk, and sit there and watch me get ready for work and to watch my mom fix her breakfast and just monitor around. George doesn't meet a step. He likes to look at a program at a certain time. He has a routine that has to be in place at all times.
Is it hard to get George's attention? If so, how do you keep or get George's attention when you need it?
The best way to get George's attention is to focus and be persistent. Loud noises don't get to George. I think the best way to get George's attention is stand firm and look into his eyes where he can pay attention to you.
Can you give me a little bit more information about George's biological parents?
Um, the most information that I can give you about George's biological parent is that George was born by two individuals who seek guidance to give their child up to foster care so that he can have a better life and experience. Some parents George's parents was in his life early on and made the decision to have their rights, had made the decision to give George up for adoption because they were not able to deal with the consequences of autism.
Hi, my name is Juanita Clifton. My name is spelled JuanaClifton, and I will be talking about autism disorder.
When and how did you find out that George has autism spectrum disorder?
I found out the same time my mom found out. When she went to the doctors, they ran tests. They see if he had like attention problems, hearing problems, some stuff that's just sorted like that's kind of with autism.
See, that's good, Nita. Is it very challenging when living with someone who has autism?
Yes, because you constantly have to keep an eye on him. Like, he can get into trouble in a second. Like, he touched the stoves. He licks things, everything. Dirt, bricks, towels. It's like, you gotta keep a constant eye. Constant. You can't, it's like, yeah, he's a baby, but, I mean, like, over the top. So, yeah.
How does it make you feel knowing that George has autism?
It makes me feel, I mean, I still see him as a regular kid, but I feel, I don't know, I just know I love him. He's my brother, you know. I feel sad sometimes that he won't have, like, normal experiences like normal kids, but, you know, I still see him as a normal kid, just special.
Did you notice any signs of autism when you first took George in? And if so, how did you find out?
In the beginning, George was normal. He was a normal baby. He cried like a normal baby, ate like a normal baby. Then, as he got older, things started to change. He didn't like the texture of food. He didn't like bright lights or loud sounds. He couldn't look me in the eye. It was just these small things that I noticed.
Is it more of a responsibility to raise a child with autism spectrum disorder?
It's a huge responsibility. 10 times harder than a normal child. It really is. I feel like if you're not ready for it, your best choice is to, it's harsh, but find a family that is ready for something like that.
How is George's communication and social skills? And do you think George's autism will affect him from things later on in his life?
His social skills, I would say he still has a long way to go. I mean, he plays by himself. Yeah, no, he plays by himself, but I think as he get older, he might learn to play with others, but I feel like it would be harder for him to associate with other kids his age, because they won't understand how to play with him, and he won't understand how to play with them, because well, from what I noticed, when he played with other kids, he's really rough. He liked to wrestle. He liked to pull. He's not a biter at all, but he's a rough kid, and I think other kids would take that as like a bully, or I don't know, as him being mean. But he really does not know what he's doing. So I think as he get older, maybe adulthood, it will be extremely hard for him to be around other adults that's not like him, or adults who don't understand him.
Do you understand autism spectrum disorder?
Well, I understand some of it. I understand the stuff that my mom told me about, how to play with him, when have him look you in the eye, or that he doesn't like certain foods because of the texture or the color. That's pretty much what I know.
Is this the first time in your life experiencing someone close with autism disorder?
Well, somebody that's close to me with autism, yes. But when I did an internship at a school, I met plenty of kids with autism, and their spectrum ranges. Some of them are very well spoken. Some of them have different gifts. Some can draw, some can sing, some can write. Every child with autism is very different. But I would say Georgia is very unique.
How has autism spectrum disorder affect your life?
It affected my life by I see kids differently. I even see adults differently that have special needs, because you never know who has autism. So I try to be, what's the word? Not honest. More welcoming when I meet people. I try not to judge as harshly. Even parents with kids with special needs. You never know. They might have autism.
What is George's daily routine?
Oh, well. He wakes up. He's a bad baby, so he probably go to the refrigerator, grab his milk, lay in the bed, watch cartoons till he get ready to go to school. My grandma's the one that gets him ready for school most days. He gets on the bus. He goes to school. I know he got therapists at school that help him with his speech therapy, and but then when he comes home, it's kind of like the same thing. He goes to the fridge, grab his bottle, grab some of his toys, or he get into some trouble, rip up paper. That's pretty much his routine. I mean, it's George.
Is it hard to get George's attention? If so, how do you keep and get George's attention when you need it?
George, okay, he hears you, but he chooses not to listen. I know if you have his sippy cup or his favorite food like raisin bread, you'll get his attention fast. I know he loves music, so if you play some music, he coming directly towards you because he loves speakers.